He said, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful.
Was ever a dream? Darn him.
Hi, I'm Ubong Matthew, founder of Avotein Manager. This platform was created to solve a real challenge we saw across African professional spaces, which is the gap between ambition and structured leadership. Because a better manager will build a better Africa, and the world needs both. Welcome to another episode of An Hour with a Manager, Africa's premier digital podcast platform, here to listen, learn, and build the next generation of African leaders. In this episode, we will continue with our October theme on transforming Africa's agricultural sector. We are exploring different aspects on how leaders can adapt, scale, and thrive in diverse international markets. In this episode, our guest, Hani Dalan, who will introduce himself, will also share different informations with us. But I promise you one thing, we're going to unpack practical insights, tools, and case studies that will help managers reshape the way they think about leadership, global expansion, and markets and operational strategy. Welcome, Hani, to the show. Thank you very much for tuning in, and it's good to always have you on an Hour with a Manager episode. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much for hosting me. All is good. Thank you indeed. Thank you.
So for the benefit of our listeners who are meeting you for the first time, please can you introduce yourself so we get to meet you better?
Absolutely. My name is Hani Dalan. I am the CEO of Avotein Farms and also our new venture, Velora Enterprises. We are based in Uganda. We work with agriculture, in farming, exports, logistics. We are currently the largest exporter of avocado. We have our own farms. We have our own trucking, logistics services, trying to raise up the standards of moving fruits and vegetables around Uganda. We just ventured recently into cocoa, coffee, and vanilla, which are one of the highest yield crops in Africa.
And how has this been so far, and how long have the business been in existence?
I've been in Uganda for 10 years. The business in agriculture started with me with exporting only like 7 years ago. 3 years ago, we started farming avocado in the central of Uganda. And from there, we started looking at different value additions to go along with the farming aspect and export. Today, we run a briquette factory where we make briquettes out of seeds, avocado seeds. We also part of a company that where we convert avocado paste from the avocado oil factories into fertilizer, into biofertilizers.
So you just made mention about briquettes and turning waste into fertilizers. How is this helping the circular economy of your farm?
We are proud to say always that we are maybe the only company that do a full green cycle of the whole crop that we work with, which is avocados. We farm the avocados. We aggregate from farmers huge quantities of raw avocados. We supply avocado oil factories, and on the return trips of our trucks, we take back from them the waste, which is usually the fat coming from the avocados and the seeds. So those we convert them now into bioproducts, eco-friendly green products, and put them back in the market. So our full business is a circular business based on green economy, really. On top of that, we export. Absolutely, we are the largest exporter of avocados in Uganda currently, and that's how we turn it.
So I know most of this business, or most especially agricultural business in Africa, is really capital intensive or extensive, right? And a lot of farmers, a lot of farmers, really complain about this. But now coming to your business and coming into Uganda to be able to push forward with this, how or what are some of the challenges you guys have faced or you faced at the course of this 7 years journey or the 10 years journey into from growing the seeds to now understanding that it can also be converted to briquettes, to also becoming waste in the farm. What were some of the challenges that you was faced during this process of 7 years journey up till today?
Of course, but farming is challenging. It's not an easy job to farm, especially in Africa. I mean, we don't have sufficient roads to move either input or outputs from the farms. We don't have the right capitals a lot of the time to upgrade farms with irrigation systems, with better cold rooms to sustain our produce. So it is challenging. It is cash intensive, and that's why we emerged into the other trading businesses in order to help us maintain our farms. So with the aggregation of the avocados selling to the avocado oil factories, we managed to introduce a revenue stream that helped us in maintaining our farm. Later on, once we went into the briquettes, again, that's another
Sorry,
thing.
please, can you explain this? Can you explain this revenue stream and at least for more clarity, how did it work and what was this stream?
But of course, today, as I said, I mean, the avocado oil industry is becoming a real big industry in East Africa in general. In Uganda, in only 3 years, from no factories, we have now about 9 factories doing avocado oil factories with a capacity input of around 500 tons per day, the need for these avocado oil factories. Basically, we saw an opportunity there for procuring these avocados into these factories. And we started doing that. We do procure on average in the season around 40 to 50 tons, which is really not more than 10% of the total demand available. And this gives us a good income because it involves really buying from the farmers and delivering to the factories. Now, with this stream, we discovered the need of the logistics. We discovered that the trucks we are moving the produce with are not really capable or efficient to move fruits and vegetables. So accordingly, we started to invest into logistics, into trucks. Our trucks we are trying really to improve the standards of moving fruits and vegetables in general in transport means available in the country. So along with that comes moving the produce in crates, in actual farming crates, rather than the way it is been done in the country, moving in sacks. And this moves of sacks for any kind of fruits is resulting in 30 to 40% waste once the fruits are arriving in the center. So with our logistics, we're moving only in crates. Basically, we have zero waste coming out from our movement of these crops. So one by one, as I said, every time we see an opportunity and we can build on, we just go for it. It's all related to the same circular green economy we do, trying to materialize on the waste just as much as we materialize on the actual crop.
Right. Having to scale agriculture in Africa itself, to be able to understand the market itself and move at such scale, it's something we should be able to have access to or put out there for for more farmers, more agriculturists, or more young entrepreneurs who are looking to go into the agricultural space should also engage in. But now, for the benefit of longevity, we would like to also know what are some of the sustainability processes or plans that are already in place, to boost operations of this business itself, and most especially avocado fruits.
Yeah, you see, we're fighting a big challenge over here. It's not an easy game to work with agricultural produce in any African country, really, in general. And I'm saying that because you see, we work with smallholder farmers mainly. We don't have like major farms, mega farms where we
Okay.
rely on. We rely on smallholder farmers scattered all around the country. So logistically, to work in this field, it's already hard, already a nightmare, really. And slowly, once we discovered those needs, we started investing in eliminating these challenges, really. And the way to eliminate them is basically investing more in logistics, investing more in collection centers around the country, being able to reach farmers, smallholder farmers in remote areas, okay, which make it, I mean, beneficial for all of us at the end of the day.
Yes.
With the more we are putting investment in such lines of the business, the more it's becoming beneficial for us, for sure.
Yeah, I see from this that at the end of the day we can't still take away the smallholders farmers, which are most of the or one of the top populations of agriculturists in Africa. Now, how is this what do you call it? How is this relationship between the smallholders farmers going on with your business itself, and most importantly, right? The scale of the smallholders farmers you have in Uganda, is it sufficient enough, or are they able to, with the few resources they have and with the few strategies Avotein has also been able to devise for these smallholders to be able to connect with? Is it sustainable? Is it really helping?
But you see, for smallholder farmers, it's really a 100 times challenge than for us as aggregators or for big farmers. Smallholder farmers are on average, you're talking about 1 acre to 1 acre maximum, the average of a smallholder farmer. And in Africa, the norm is they produce their own food. This is number one. Then they do some mix and matching of whatever else they can put to trade with, right? So it's not easy for them to handle different crops, different varieties in a small land. It doesn't really make sense commercially for them. Now here comes where we are trying to push a lot of the farmers to do, or a lot of the villages really, is to zone. The only way to overcome these challenges with the smallholder farmers, if we manage to convert them into zones where they
Okay.
plant same crop, where it becomes easy for aggregators to come directly to them and get that crop from everybody in the village.
At the
This
same
will make,
time.
at the same time, this makes it cheaper
Oh,
for aggregators actually and exporters when they want to buy such crop. Plus, it makes it more beneficial and more focused for the farmers to focus on. Today, there's no focus in general in the country or in Africa in general,
why do you say so?
because the smallholder farmers, it's the nature of the smallholder farmers. They are not focused into one crop, into a commercial crop. They want first to manage or guarantee their own food security. Living in a farm, living in any kind of village in Africa, in remote areas, the first thing that comes in mind for these farmers is to secure their own food from their land. Second would be how to sell locally in their areas. And then the
When
third
yeah,
would be,
yeah,
the hardest is how to find market access for better crops like coffee, like cocoa, like Hass avocado,
yeah.
like those crops with better yields, right? And the problem with those crops, if you do them in a small scale, you will never make the money compared to the expense you're putting in your farm. That's why
Okay.
when you zone a village, a total village, into one crop or two crops maximum, then the outcome becomes better and bigger, and then the earnings of the farmers will be better.
Now, you know, when we talk about smallholders farmers with the lots of factors that might hinder them from going above and beyond with their business itself or with the farm produce, but sometimes they might probably have the will, but you know, like you've mentioned, the investment is not sufficient enough for them to go at that scale. Now, I believe at this point, for Avotein to get to where it is, it's still offering trainings and partnerships. So I'd like to know, are there some partnerships or trainings that are already ongoing to also support these smallholder farmers or other agriculturists or other farmers who would like to, you know, venture into this? And how is it helping the value chain? Because at the end of the day, you all need to train your value chain to be able to move in terms of pricing, in terms of distribution, in terms of every process that needs to happen from farm to final consumers.
Absolutely. You see, all what we do in Avotein Farm, I mean, even if we don't directly train the farmers or support them directly with inputs or with education, what we give them today is way bigger than all of that together. We give them market access. This is what's
Okay.
missing today. Today, the farmer, even if he does the best kind of crop in his land, without a market access, he'll never go anywhere. Eventually, he'll just come down and go to the reality of his grounds and cut these crops and start something seasonal or something for him to eat. So
Yeah.
the main important aspect, if we want to talk about how to help farmers, is really to create the market access for them for their crops, and to create that you need to invest a lot in the infrastructure of your own company, of your own operation, which is again what we are doing. We are investing in trucks. We are investing in locations, in collection centers, so these smallholder farmers can find us wherever they go, closer to them, and they can sell the produce to us in a decent way without losing money in the transport or in the waste that will happen because of the transport once they are selling any kind of crop. So basically, today the farmer, and I always say the farmer knows better than any
Yeah.
experience or consultant in the climate chain or in the soil or everything. They are farmers. It's their bread and butter. They've
Yeah.
been living there forever.
Yeah.
Know exactly how to manage their land. They know exactly how to manage their crop. They understand all of that, right? Yes, they need inputs. They need irrigation systems for some areas where water is scarce. They need inputs of pesticides, fertilizers, when they are really far away from anywhere or whatever. But the biggest point here is to find them market. Once they have a market, they'll be able to afford irrigation system. They'll be able to afford pesticides, fertilizers.
Because the market is going.
Of
Yeah.
course, of course. But if you leave them without a market, without opening markets for them, without finding them even, you see the problem here is not only creating a market, is finding the farmers itself. When you are living in a country where there's no data, okay, which is the case in Uganda, for example, you don't have a real clear data of who's planting what, where, and when. You get it? And these are very important factors for us as aggregators or as exporters to know. If I have to go
Okay.
and search the old way, the traditional way, go visit physically, village by village, and looking at farm by farm, nothing will improve. Really, nothing will improve. I mean, we are
Yeah.
trying to do that, but the investment we're putting there is huge.
If you manage, if you bring together commercial farmers and smallholder farmer, it also boils back to, as a company, based on the fact that everything is mostly for export or for export and for import itself, whereby produce is supposed to be extended to other parts of Africa. Now, I want us to go into a little bit into the corporate social responsibilities, which we know organizations should be able to have to employ, which sometimes is also a factor. Now, as a commercial farmer, what are some of the challenges rather that you see that affect being a commercial, being running a commercial business, right, and then trying to keep up with this social responsibility in order to still, be in the same state and be able to move as a business should move and still have these benefits in place and still expand for more investment.
Yeah, you see, the problem is historical, really, in Africa. Okay, and we did a lot of studies in for example, the varieties of crops that are being planted in Africa in general. Now let me talk about Uganda, because this is where we are, right? And we discovered that maybe over 80% of the varieties we produce in Uganda are the wrong varieties. We produce varieties that are good for our own consumption, that are not necessarily good, really, but they are what we used to, right? We never
Okay.
upgraded the varieties that are in demand in the world. We never upgraded varieties that can sustain better weather condition or climate change. We never adopted varieties that can last longer with a shelf life in order for us to export it in an easy way. So the problem today is we need to re-look at all the varieties we have in Uganda. And I'm sure, I'm 100% positive that other African countries are also in the same position as in Uganda. So basically, if I'm gonna keep on, if the farmers, smallholder farmer is gonna keep on doing wrong varieties, or wrong varieties that will not get him better money, better yield, okay, then nothing will change in terms of market access, right? Market access today, if I want to sell, to export to Europe, there are so many standards that I have to go by, right? If I don't get these standards from Africa, I need to go somewhere else.
So what about the farmers that might not be able to get access to those produce outside of Africa?
Sorry.
No, I'm referring to, what about those that might not be able to have access to this kind of maybe seeds or plants here in Africa?
But listen, it's very obvious when you go to the local markets in any African country. I mean, again, I'm talking about Uganda in particular. If you go to the local market,
Yeah.
you will see mangoes, but are they the same mangoes that I can export? No, I cannot export them because they look bad. They're beautiful. They taste amazing. Now there's
Yeah.
an issue
Okay.
here. There's an issue here between, do I want a produce to look nice, or do you want it to taste nice? Now I agree. Our produce in Uganda tastes amazing. Our pineapples, our avocados, our everything, really. Whatever we grow tastes amazing. The problem with the quality that produce, the quality is not fancy to sell, to export. Yeah, you see the problem, the perception of the people, of the farmers, of what the fruits I want to eat or the vegetables I want to eat. Do they look good or taste good? In Africa, they taste good, right?
Yeah.
And this doesn't help with export. For export, they need to look good, right? So we have an issue here also with the quality, right? And the post-harvest methods.
Okay.
Post-harvest, means from the minute I plant, actually, I have to take care of the plants. I have to take care of the trees, right? From the minute I harvest, I have to sustain cold chain for these
Yeah.
fruits to sustain their trips into other markets. I have to pack in standard packaging that will help me sustain these packaging without waste. Okay, and then I will have to export them in better ways. So this is the whole link where we need to look at for the farmers. The farmers today, their head is to produce because it's easier, not in their head. It's easier for them to produce whatever it is and send it to the local markets for the local consumption, right?
Yeah.
This doesn't build the economy. It builds food security, maybe, but it doesn't build economy, right? So here it goes. When I told you earlier about the zoning, in the whole of Africa, there should be zoning today about what do I need to export, what do I need to plant for export, what do I need to plant for as a food security.
And most importantly, to also be concerned about the quality of this produce after harvesting, because I understand what you're trying to share with regards to take the from when this seeds is being put into the soil to the what do you call it, the care you give to the plant itself, and how the seeds or the fruits will also germinate. It's also very important. But now for
I mean, originally, it has to do with the varieties. We have to choose the right varieties that are in demand,
yes,
right? If I
okay,
if I choose if I choose a variety that will not be sold internationally, then I'm losing. I'm losing economy. I'm losing security, even, right? So it starts from choosing
but some of
the right.
but do you think some of these varieties might not be very healthy to have, or are there specific varieties which we have to look out for? Because sometimes seeds go through different process, and not all of them might be really edible or worth having to take as food.
No, I'm not talking about GMOs. I'm not talking about seeds that are manufactured in a different way in order to produce more. No, I'm talking about normal varieties. But today, for example, if we talk about mango, for example, okay, mango, there's so many different varieties. There's apple mango, there is Tommy,
Yeah.
there is Kent, there is sorry, there's some other different varieties. In Uganda, for example, we're planting only 2 or 3 varieties, okay, that are not exportable. They are beautiful. We eat them here normally. I mean, locally, they go very well, but they are not exportable.
Yeah.
If you look at Egypt and India, for example, Egypt is number one today in mangoes, right? Because they're doing a different kind of variety, right?
Okay.
It's yes. So that's the thing that we need today to look at the varieties we have in the country, right? And how to improve it or how to get the better variety. Because if I want to get a better variety, if I want to use the variety that the Egyptians are using, for example, it's a mango at the end of the day. It will be good also here in Uganda with no issue.
All right. Now, I believe for you to have this principle to get up to this point, it must have been a sit and chat conversation, whereby for us to get to point A to point B to point C, we should be able to run this process. I want us to get into a little bit about the ethics of how you operate an Avotein itself. So, what were some of these ethical principles, right, that really governed the whole affairs of the business, and even you as an individual, to be able to run the business up to this very point?
Yeah, well, you see, I cannot talk about the whole country, about the whole ethics of the farming of the agriculture. I'm not that experienced, by the way. I'm a businessman at the end of the day, and I look at where my business can grow and what can help me do that, right? For us, we are growing Hass avocado, and we are not ready to grow anything else really in the country. Hass avocado to us is a very good crop. The demand is huge for it. Okay, we have the experience for it in export. We have the experience in the local market. So to me, I cannot really talk about any other crop available Yeah,
Yes.
there are big people at the Ministry of Agricultures in the whole each country of Africa. They know exactly what should be done, and they should now start planning in a different way. Right today, the only fact we work with is that we have smallholder farmers. Okay, and we cannot get away from that fact. Now, the first item on the list to upgrade the whole system of food in the continent is, as I said, to me, again, as I said, it's zoning has to be done. Choosing the right varieties to plant has to be done. Upgrading the roads, creating collection centers for the smallholder farmers, equipping those collection centers with cold rooms, cold storage. This only
Yeah.
will will reflect into a better market access, right? Without that, it's going to be hard if we do one of these issues alone. I mean, if you come and tell me today change the varieties without creating better logistics, I'll tell you no, it doesn't
Yeah.
work. Or do it without a cold
Yeah.
chain. Again, it doesn't work. The whole it's a full system that we need to go and upgrade altogether. To do one of them is not enough, is not sufficient.
So, with regards to technological advancement, right? What are some of the innovations which you've seen that is really, really important that needs to be added for food security and sustainability? Most importantly, I know you've made mention of some case studies in Uganda, but what are some of these technological innovations that we can also adapt as Africans, as business or commercial farmers, for more advancement and successful revenue?
Yeah, but you see, I hear that a lot about technology advancement and how to implement technology into farming and so on. My answer is you cannot run before you learn how to walk. Today you cannot
Okay.
run. Technology you're talking about is for people who already passed the stages, okay, of what we have today. We're still walking. We're still walking very slowly, right? To come and adopt technology today, again, will not give me any benefits really. Today, I need a road. More important than technology, I need a road, a simple road, right? Today, I need a simple collection center. I need a law to stop moving fruits in sacks and to put pressure on these fruits. I need them to be moved in crates. Okay, the technologies are good. We see a lot of people here coming in Uganda and advertising for drones to measure moisture, to measure soil health, to measure fruits health, and so on. But where does that go for a farmer who doesn't have a road to move his
To
produce
transport.
to market, right? So I cannot run before I can walk. I need to walk first, and to walk, I need to put the basics, which are roots, right? That's the thing. Technology to me
And
today is
you know,
roads, is collection center, is cold storage. This is technology.
and that's its innovation itself, because in Kenya is actually really moving fast with technological advancements in terms of how they actually practice agriculture, right? And in as much as road is also a very big factor, which needs to cross-border relations needs to be very, very, what do you call it, needs to be put in place. Those roads need to be put in place for more connections, more communications to happen, because like you mentioned, even being able to move from one country to the next itself is a very, very big factor being in Africa. But I believe that with time we're going to address this in our future conversations, in order to be able to access, and let's see how we can work together to put those important basic key points, that those key things that needs to happen for Africa to move forward. But I want us to quickly stretch into some of the trends, right?
If I may add there, you see,
Yes, please.
Africa is, as a continent, okay, is a huge empire, really. It's a
Very
huge
big empire,
agricultural
actually.
empire,
Yeah.
right? It is,
Yeah.
right? However, if you look at history, in the history, there was never a civilization or an empire that was built before they built their roads and their trading. They're mainly trading routes, right? Look at the Silk Road, look at all the roads that were built in the ancient history. They were the reason why empires became empires, why civilization started to become a civilization. So today in Africa, before we start talking about how can we become an empire really, and how we become the world food basket in general, okay, we need to look at how to make access, how to connect each other, how to utilize what we have. Today, we don't utilize. We discussed this the other time,
Yes.
Matthew. In Africa
Yeah.
today, we have 233 million hectares of arable land, of arable land. 233 million hectares. This is the size of Algeria altogether, the largest country in Africa. And it's the size nearly of Congo, one of the largest countries in Africa. So you're talking about a huge area of land that is not planted, that is ready to be planted and can be planted and is not planted. So this is number one. Number two, road system. You have 2.8 million kilometers of road systems in Africa, out of which 30% only is paved. So how do you expect to move forward if you can't move, if you don't have roads to move on? This is the biggest issues today. I mean, forget about all the technologies, forget about all the science, the whatever. Today, we need to build the routes, the trading routes. We need to zone our continent in what to be planted and where and how. This is the main thing. Everything else can come later. Without doing this, poor farmers will stay as poor farmers, right? Market access will stay as market access. Nothing is going to improve really. So we have to wake up and get out of the denial, right? And understand that it's not just an abracadabra issue, and then we will have a market.
And it's done.
We cannot have market access if we don't have good roads, if we don't have good storage, if we don't have good cold chain, if we don't
And good
plant
lights too.
good life, if we don't plant really the 233 million acres. In Uganda alone, there's about 10 million hectares that are arable land, right? So you cannot really talk about better life for the farmer or better economy or better exports or market access if you don't fix these things first. So this is the main message that everybody should understand and everybody should work for.
I really appreciate the in depth of how much you share these informations, and just like I had mentioned, good roads, which is a very big factor, access to storage facility, and also being able to use this storage facility, and also having access to good electricity, because these are basic things that as humans we need in order to be able to survive and move and process our business. If as a business owner I can transport, or I can travel freely on a good road from probably Nairobi to Mombasa, or Mombasa to South Africa, or to Nigeria, or to Egypt, or to Morocco, or even to Uganda, I feel that way products can actually take a stipulated time frame that you should spend on the road. If, for example, products were left the farm by 2 p.m., if it's expected to spend 6 hours on the road, you know that there's also a need for between that time frame. Not when you're moving on the road, before you get there, you're spending maybe 2 days just to transport, just for a journey that should take 6 hours to take you there, or probably because you're moving on the road, there's no light system or network system for you to be able to navigate, instead of moving through bad villages without put you in the point of having to run for your life, even with the produce you have itself. So security is also a big factor, and which we really need to, bring on board too. But I want us to. I know we're running close to the end of these discussions, and I would like us to also point out two things from what we've also discussed here. First, I'd like to ask, what are some of these, with all of the experience gathered so far, what would you like to share with the young agripreneurs who are also getting on board into not only wanting to get into full farming to, maybe be on the path of having to produce, but also be on the commercial paths to supply and be on the value chain, for more expansion and profitability, and most importantly, to build the next generation of African leaders who would be running the agricultural space itself?
Yeah, but absolutely. But I say for the youth, stop dreaming about becoming rich without doing anything. Stop dreaming about that. You have wealth. You have a huge wealth in your land. Go back to your lands, right? Go back to your lands. Start farming. Start producing good product. Okay, this is wealth. This is huge. The business, the numbers. If you look at each crop in the world, just Google the number of the global market of it, and you'll be amazed of how much people are paying all around the world for crops that are easy to be planted in Africa, that can be planted well, okay, and can make you a lot of money as a youth, way better than spending your time dreaming about getting rich or coming to Kampala, for example, in the Ugandan to ride a Boda, a motorbike, which is a motorbike, and become a Boda rider. Think really for the future. Do not think for today only. Today will go. Think for the future.
Now, I just to extend to that, we have the upcoming leadership summit where leaders from 20 countries, 21, come together to negotiate, to deliberate on the future of sustainability and how economic processes should be able to move in different industries, right? So, which is G20, and there's an upcoming event on 22nd and 23rd. What are some of these informations which, from all you've shared, you would like to extend to the leaders who will be attending this summit, to the stakeholders who will be attending this summit, particularly to food sustainability and agricultural transformation in Africa?
Absolutely. Abolish the borders, abolish the visas between Africa, abolish the country systems that came with the colonizers back in the days. The world is changing. Today, Africa has wealth. The wealth is not in the oil, is not in the gas. The wealth is in the soil, in the water Africa has. The wealth is in the youth Africa has. Today, if you only think about how to cultivate the right products from Africa, you're not only building food security for the generations to come, you are building a giant house of trade to do everything. In Africa, we have everything. We have beans, maize, coffee, cocoa, fruits, vegetables, everything. Everything is growing, right? Just focus on this. Just focus on this. In Africa, over 70% of the populations are farmers, okay? Converting them to be oil tycoons or teachers or whatever, or ministry staff will not work, will not make anything better for this continent. Convert them to be educated farmers, to be resilient farmers, to be traders. This is what they need. Today, you have all the infrastructure for that, except for the roads, which we need to fix, except for the storage and collection center and the cold room, which we need to fix. But otherwise, you have already a platform. You have a huge platform to get billions billions and billions of US dollars coming into the country with small work that has been going on for centuries for Africans. You are farmers by nature. Why do you need to change your nature? That's it.
Thank you very much, Hani, for sharing that in depth, and I really appreciate extending that information for you to also get to the leaders who will be attending the summit. For us to wake up as Africa, not only to say we are the giants, but we should make the right steps. And also, in wrapping up this discussion, we will be tying this up with our October theme, which is particularly on ethical leadership, and we're sharing a book from Andrew Lee. You can also go check up that book. It's going to share you some real insights into how you can put together real practical ethical structures in your business itself, and most especially for agriculture and Africa itself, for it to be more sustainable. And we'll also leave our listeners here with 4 practical exercises, which is also part of our manager's toolkit we share on this show. One of those exercises is practice evaluating everyday business, agribusiness decisions using ethical frameworks. It is very important, just like you've heard our experts shared. Map your key stakeholders and develop clear trust building. Facilitate discussions with your team to align on core ethical values, and keep reflective journals at every point in time. Keep that note pen or notepad or your phone tab or your pen and paper to always jot down important things that should help you practice good leadership, and most importantly, for food sustainability in Africa itself. But at the end of the day, we believe that this discussion have been able to impact, or have been able to put you on the point where you need to wake up as a young person, as a leader, as an expert from wherever you are in the world, to also connect with food sustainability, or to also connect with agricultural transformation in Africa. Thank you very much, Hani Dalan, for tuning in to another episode of An Hour with the Manager. And I really appreciate the time spent here. This month, we've been exploring ethical leadership and governance in African businesses. And today's conversation with Hani Dalan gave us practical insight into how sustainable agribusiness can help impact food security in Africa. If you found today's discussion interesting, please do well to share with other leaders, follow, like, and subscribe, and invite other leaders to also practice and learn from global mindsets. I'll leave you with a quote from the book on Andrew Lee, or the book from Andrew Lee, that says, "To be an ethical leader is indeed different. This kind of leader acknowledges the complexity of running a responsible business, yet tries to do it anyway." Until next time, keep growing, keep leading, keep bridging Africa one world at a time.
Going back in the bed, jumping on the stage, you know, that was just a gamble.